Hey, I'm jumping on quick because I have an idea, and it's something that I've been thinking about for a long time now. Is this coming? Here, let me see this real quick. I'm still here. I'm just cleaning the camera off. Is that better? Yeah, that's so much better. Um, okay, so, all right. Long time I've been thinking about this, but I didn't really know how to. So I'm just going to try my best to get the thought out there at least. I've put out too many videos demonizing the billionaires, demonizing government, just saying, burn them, we need to tear it down, all that stuff. And it feels good to say, but it really offers no solutions. Because you can say that all you want, and it's rooted in truth. Like, it obviously needs to happen, but without solutions, all you are is getting mad. Justifiably mad, but anger and frustration doesn't solve issues. It only emphasizes the whatever. Anyway, moving on. My thoughts have been so scattered lately with this solar activity and the portals and all these Mercury trines and Scorpio, Sagittarius stuff. So I'm going to try to be concise here because I really want this to blow up. But obviously, we need to decapitate the beast. The beast being the billionaires, being the government, the crony capitalism, the backwards systems that have us working, devoting our lives, and having nothing to show for it at the end of the day. The consumerism that feeds the emptiness of our souls, and the forced desire to return to work every single day, devote so much of our lives for nothing in return. So I want to put this out there for ideas that people might have for how to, even a name to call it. Like, I'm looking for a name for something like this, but here's the idea. We need to get more local with our stuff, local with our food as much as possible. And I mean this like plan ahead, seek out the local stuff when you can, and especially this moving forward into spring in these colder climates. The seasonal vegetables, and then food preservation on top of that, refrigeration. Like, that's my main thing. Is I'm an electromechanical maintenance, and mostly I've studied all forms of refrigeration, industrially, commercially, residentially. Most ways of reducing temperature by removing heat from an environment, I understand it. Ammonia, freon, all the halocarbons, all of it. So that's food preservation, but it takes energy. So if there's canning and there's stuff like that. But seeking more local sources for our meat, our eggs, our milk, getting them from local farms instead of the big box Walmarts and stuff like that, the big chains. Like, we need to destroy these these big things. I think big things just need to go because we can't trust them anymore. They're out for profits. They're looking out for themselves. They're cutting corners, and it's falling back on us, the corners that they cut, because they need to maintain themselves at that higher level and grow and get bigger. And in their size, they might have started out meaning well, but in their size, it just breeds corruption. We need to get local with things, bring it back down to the base level. And that's what I've been saying, and I've been hearing a lot about the Hunger Games, literally like smaller than that even, and not contributing to a centralized government that just seeks to see your destruction. But as much as we can do on the back end of things and keep it out of the traceability of things, like using the monetary system that we have in front of us, like our money that we exchange, that monopoly stuff that the government can still track when it goes in and out of bank accounts. I mean, you might be able to get away with handing someone cash and having them hand you cash and stuff still, but that we might even see go. That's why they're trying to get rid of that so much and go digital, so that everything can be traced and tracked and then therefore taxed. So if they want to get rid of income tax, great, but in order to buy anything, now they're talking about a 30% sales tax. That, what is that going to do to us? That's going to drive up the cost of literally everything. And I don't know if that's going to apply to food or not, but if it does, that's even more of a grave situation. But even if it applies to blankets and heaters and just stuff that is required for, that sort of like non-luxury items, but like preservation of survival type stuff, if those things are going to be taxed 30% also, we need to bring it back down to the local level, the personal services offered, the trading, the bartering. If, I can, just an example, if I need meat, I can go to a farm and say, hey, do you have any refrigeration work that you need done? I need this much meat. The farmer says, okay, I got this much meat. Yeah, I need these refrigerators fixed. I then fix those refrigerators. Any cost of the fixing the equipment is on the farmer, but the labor is 100% supplied by me. Now I'm working sort of for the farmer, but I'm still working for myself. And my labor is contributing towards the quality of my work, will determine the amount of meat that I receive from the farmer. Now, whether or not that's an amicable situation, or whether or not that, moves forward into future business with that farmer, it will depend on whether or not it was a fair trade of services. So I walk away with meat, he walks away with a few fixed refrigerators. Now I move on to, I need a haircut. I go to the barber, say, hey, how's your AC? Does it need a PM? Yeah, I can do that for you. Can you cut my hair? Okay, good. That's literally the trade. And then if there's any cost in the repairs, obviously is going to be on the barber. But if there's any hair product or anything that I need for my hair, the cost of that will be on me. That sort of stuff. You know what I mean? But the labor is 100%. That's the trade. That's the exchange. So it's going to take so much money out of the interest of the billionaires and the people, the controlling interests, the elites, the governments, the taxers, the ones that are seeking to profit off of your labor, your energy. And that is the key to where we've fallen, where the inequality, what did they call that? I just heard it. It's a certain point that we reached in the 70s, 1973, the decoupling. Where did we decouple from earning an amicable amount of money that we could take home and then build a thriving life off of? And in that exchange, it was honest. But after the decoupling, the gap between the laborers and the owners got way out of hand, and it only got worse since then. It only keeps, like, the margins, the gap between the 99% and the 1% just keeps growing. How does that happen? It's because these guys are able to purchase policies and politicians in order to make it so that there keeps growing. We have no power. Our power is in our labor, is in our ability to say, no, we're bringing it back. We're going to start working for ourselves. Are you able to, I can't tell if maybe I should sit more like this. That might be a little better. We need to start working for ourselves and bring this back, because no one should be a billionaire in this earth moving forward. It's only leading to poverty and destruction of people, and no way out for a lot of people. We get stuck in this idea that you have to work and work your ass off, work yourself to the bone, have nothing to show for it, literally nothing. People are working themselves 55 hours a week, barely making enough for their labor, and then turning around and wondering where it all went, when all they're doing is paying for their housing, their food, basic necessities, all the required insurances and permits and fees and everything that comes along with it. Their phone, and then it comes with all kinds of fees that end up going back to governments. And how many times are the things in your life, how many times has it been taxed? Just think about every time it changes hands from basic commodity to finished product and then that finished product changes hands. How many times, by the time it gets to you, how many times has the government profited off of that one thing? We need to start looking at that traceability back to source, and start realizing that we are capable of so much by ourselves. We don't need the government for that. We don't need big anything for that. We're able to accomplish a lot by ourselves, more than we even realize. We're tricked into thinking that we need to do whatever we can that we have no abilities, natural abilities, and that we need to throw ourselves out there into the market and see where we land. Just, if you start out with no real skills, like I was fortunate to realize early on that I needed to learn how to weld. And that's how I did. I showed up to my first job with a welding helmet. Well, not my first job. Obviously, I was a cook and shit as a teenager, but like my first factory job, I thought I had to get into the factories. I had to learn something. It's the only way to make a livable wage. But I learned welding and I got good at it, and I got to the point where I was building fixtures in order to weld other stuff. I was building the fixture to make the welds, So I got to the point where I was welding aluminum, TIG welding, and I got really good at it. But then I looked around and I said, this is the limit to what you can make as a welder? There's got to be more. There has to be more available. This can't be it. And they said, yeah, this is it. You're working for Wabash National, and you're welding their aluminum tanker trailers, but this is it. And I said, hell no. So then I got into maintenance, and then I just kept building my career from there and skills. But people who don't have those skills and might have stayed cooking through high school and didn't really have a sense of where to go, didn't want to end up in a factory, because that sucked. I hated the factory. But eventually I got into food factories, where it was a step up, because it went from dirty factory to clean factory. and yeah, but that's where I built my career. And then maintenance, and then refrigeration finally, industrially, and then commercially, and then from there. But some people don't have that path available. Some people stayed baristas, and don't really have any, but they're great with people, and they have an understanding of, maybe things that if you just spent some time with them, you could offer your services to them, and they could offer what they have to offer to you. If they had a moment to just sit and think, what am I good at? What can I offer people? And put themselves out there. And what would I like to learn and discover my passions? Maybe it's in their passions that they find their thing to offer other people. But we need to stop looking for green money for everything and start looking for addressing, like, what are my real needs? Like, let's set aside the consumerism and the new hat and the new shades and the new shoes and whatever else. Let's set that aside for a minute and focus on the things that we actually need in life for not even just survival, but like, what would actually make us happy? Because when I think about being able to survive on my own based off of like not having to work for anyone, really working for myself, but offering myself to the different things that I might need, like offering my skills, like I had mentioned, refrigeration work, offering that in exchange for like, my neck hurts, chiropractor, okay, going to the chiropractor. You guys got any refrigerators that need to be fixed? Maybe you got a friend who's got refrigeration issues that need to be addressed, and I can help through that network. We need to network and start connecting. I'd like to make an app or just something that can link people together. Like, this goes back to when I'm still transportationally challenged at the moment, but I was seeking a ride. Well, I had called for an Uber delivery, which you can have an Uber driver pick up a package and deliver the parcel for you to a set address. And that takes it cost me maybe like $2 or something like that, just say for sake of, maybe it was $10, something like that. But very cheap. I think it was under $10. Anyway, I found out that the terms of the delivery would have changed. So I ended up coming down and talking to the Uber driver to deliver the package. And I said, hey, is there any chance you could take me out to this place with the package and then bring me back, and I would definitely give you extra cash on the side for this? And the Uber driver was thankfully totally cool with it. It must have been my energy that felt trustworthy, or I'm not sure, but it was an arrangement that we had made that allowed the Uber driver to make more directly, and got me what I needed. But in the end, come to realize that for the same amount of distance that the one way delivering the package would not have earned the driver basically enough even for the gas to get out there. But through what we had done, ended up earning the driver the money. But if I would have paid Uber for that ride, it would have cost 4 times as much. Just an example of how then from there, once you exchange phone numbers, then you don't need Uber anymore. Just think about that. So that's sort of a thing. Let's cut out these middlemen and these systems that are just seeking profit and at the detriment of the workers involved. Like, it's always falls back on the labor. The person that's sacrificing always ends up being asked to sacrifice that little bit more, and in that margin is where the big anything makes their profit. Let's bring that back to your sacrifice is directly related or directly correlated to the services and benefits that you receive. Not that you're asked for that extra hour at the end of your shift, or you're asked for that little bit more productivity, but you don't end up seeing it pan out in your life. Is that time and a half overtime really worth that extra hour of, not after you've just spent 40 hours, an unnecessary amount of time just earning baseline, that little time and a half, that little extra half a hour of pay? Is that really worth that extra hour of labor that you now have to put in excess? No. But that's all they have. That's all they're required to give you in compensation for that. And isn't it funny that these businesses that care so much about their employees are always right on the fringes of the law of what's required of them, but yet they care so much about you? Because we're family, right? We're all in this together, right? But here's our bare minimum of what we're required to offer you. And if you want anything above and beyond that, it's coming out of you. It's coming out of your hide, not ours. Our profits are up here. We're in the billions. But not you. You'll never get there. Because you're working for us. So your labor, your essence, yourself is directly tied to my business, not your business. So we need to bring it back to personal, maybe call it personal liability networking, or that just sounds kind of liability. I don't really like that. Personal networking, just how can we establish an Angie's List or something of services and people helping people. That's what I wanted to start this whole thing with, was like, it's a people helping people network. That's what I want. PHP network. Damn, PHP. I'm looking for ideas, because you might have like great thoughts or ideas to share on this. I hope this video gets out there and gets traction. If you're feeling the same, if you're still around, if you're stuck in this far, you're feeling the same, and you could share this with other people that might have similar ideas or skills to offer, or just anything. Maybe they can make an app, or get involved with cutting out the billionaires, the governments, the beast, crony capitalists, the people that I demonize and hate to my core so much. Let's get them out of our lives finally, so we can be done with being so mad at them all the time. I'm done with being mad. Like, I want solutions now. I want to move forward in this world with solutions. And solutions is literally decapitating the beast. We need to tell them, no more. You're not profiting off of my labor anymore. All of my labor is going to benefit my and my families, not you and your families, my families. Any contribution I have to offer is going to directly impact me, not indirectly a week later when you finally decide how much I earned for the week. I want my contribution to impact me directly, because that's the maximizing your profit. Maximizing profitability through personal networking of people helping people. Something like that. I can't think of really. I mean, it's going to reach that sort of thing, which I feel is essential and going to happen in this new earth, in these paradigm shifts, in these portals moving forward, the 2026, 2027 type new spiritual age of earth. It's going to happen. Like, we're just going to naturally find the way to make those sort of systems work, but it's the only way really that life is going to work moving forward, because big systems and their corruption just aren't going to. They're not rooted, based in truth, so they're going to fall off, and something is going to have to come along to replace it. And so we got to come up with something to call it, something to really get behind, and to where we can, like, I don't do Facebook. I almost kind of wish I did at this point, but like to have a public profile with, like a LinkedIn kind of thing. This is what I can offer the world. These are the services I can offer. What am I seeking? Maybe have a page of, this is what I'm seeking, and this is what I can offer in trade. And then through that, people can go on and shop, and they can say, okay, well, I'm seeking this. Here's what I can offer in trade. And then just have that search, that AI thing based on location and all that, be able to link people up. Here, this guy needs a ride to here, and he can offer you this. Or maybe it is money. I mean, maybe there's some, there's going to have to be a baseline, like bartering for things, and eventually some things are going to have to lead back towards a monetary, a unified, like, monetary. Like, say you need like a new compressor for your fridge or something, like, obviously that's going to have to be purchased with money of some sort, whether that's Bitcoin, precious metals. I don't know how that's going to work, but like, initially, just starting out, just establishing the profiles and the services and the search engines and the Angie's List, that's where I want to start with this whole thing. So I'm going to leave it there with plenty to expand on and think about. And thanks for sticking around this long. Please like and subscribe and share this video. Get this message out there for other thinkers and, ideas, people that can make some of this stuff start happening. Also, well, I guess that's it. I love you. Never stop spreading your light.